the show, Modi says, we won't talk to Pakistan because Pakistan bleeds us at the border. But India's peaceniks think otherwise. Today and yesterday they were fawning over Pakistani hawks and others from the Pakistani side of the fence during what was billed as a back-channel dialogue between two countries. A bilateral engagement of sorts, barely 2 kilometers from the Prime Minister's residence. Is this acceptable at a time such as this, when Pakistan has been unrelenting in its belligerence towards India? Many people today are offended and saying that this sort of back-channel diplomacy should end because it does a disservice to the stand that has been taken by the centre, that these people-to-people conversations, dialogues, what have you, amount to very little and only serve a particular constituency that feeds off the conflict and want to remain in prominence. Let's first look at this report that Geeta Mohan, our Foreign Affairs editor, filed, and then we'll open this up for debate. Stay with us.
At a time when Pakistan is bleeding us at the border, some people's attempts at back-channel diplomacy have created a rift in Indian political circles.
In Pakistan, there is no point talking to anyone because Pakistan's destiny is controlled by its military. And the Pakistan military will not do a self-destructive act of making themselves irrelevant by having normal relations with India. So it is unlikely that any track to diplomacy with Pakistan will succeed.
Probably this may not have an impact on the stand taken by the government or the governments, because this kind of diplomacy has been it has been a continuous thing probably from India and from Pakistan. So we all believe that the people-to-people cooperation is the only solution.
Just yesterday, Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif snubbed India over talks with separatists. But for the last 2 days, Indian peaceniks have been fawning over Pakistani diplomats and intellectuals barely 2 kilometers from the Prime Minister's home.
It doesn't have the same constraints that you have when you're officially talking, it's government to government. But people are very conscious that acceptability of what you do on track 2 is based on not being too ambitious.
कई लोग आपस में बातचीत करते हैं, लेकिन सरकार के स्तर पर जो सरकार का स्टैंड होता है वो देश का स्टैंड होता है.
While the invitee list on the Indian side includes several top political leaders and top business honchos.
Because it's appreciated that there's need for dialogue. If governments won't talk, then let the people talk. Now, we're not pretending to be representatives of the people, but we do have here a variety of views, both on the Indian side and the Pakistani side.
Your TV is announcing so many civilians have died. Our TV is showing coffins being, lowered in graves. So this will go on unless there is greater wisdom at the top.
The big question is, should India be talking to Pakistan at any level amid constant provocations? And is it disingenuous to claim total freeze while track 2 continues unchecked? Bureau Report, NewsX.
Several questions. Let's put them out for debate tonight. Joining us, Brigadier V. Mahalingam, defense analyst, Rashmi Khan, national spokesperson of the Congress. Some of the Congress's leading lights were at this gathering. Sheshadri Chari, leader of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Karuna Nandi, lawyer of the Supreme Court, who was also there over the last 2 days, I think. Professor Madhav Nalapat, the editorial director of the Sunday Guardian, with us.
No, a few hours.
Okay, for a few hours. Ashok Pandit, director and activist, joins us. Seema Mustafa, political analyst, someone who was also there at this gathering. I just want to understand, Karuna Nandi, what is this sort of moth to a flame like attraction for individuals to meet and, over cups of tea, etc., lunch, dinner, what have you, and exchange these sort of, many people say, just platitudes, because it makes no difference on the ground to the outcome. Pakistan continues with its belligerence. We have a situation where just yesterday the Prime Minister of Pakistan came out and once again snubbed India, its expectations. Why continue these dialogues? Many people are saying it's undermining the position the state has taken, the state of India vis-a-vis Pakistan, it rewards all those on the other side of the border who feel they can get away with everything.
I think the thing to really very clearly realize is that many of the people in these talks do not support the Pakistani military in its attempts to, keep this going.
Right.
And I think the thing to also recognize is that after all these decades, after 6 decades of independence, Pakistan and India are both way down in the Human Development Index, right? And yet we are way up on defense spending. And so it's cut off.
Well, Karuna Nandi, let me tell you that one of the individuals who was one of the keynote speakers from the Pakistani side was an individual called Mahmood Kasuri. And he was a willing agent really, of the Pakistani military, working under Pervez Musharraf as his foreign affairs minister. He's on record to say some of the nastiest things about India. Am I wrong,
You are
Brigadier?
absolutely correct.
Am I wrong?
No.
To make this assumption? So when we say that they are not supportive of the Pakistani military, are we barking up the wrong tree?
No, there is absolutely no. We are saying what it is absolutely right. The Pakistanis, particularly Mr. Kasuri, has never been friendly to India. We call him here and try and talk to him at a time when the situation in their own country is absolutely miserable. And secondly, at a time when India has made a very clear, categorical position, stated its position as to what are the terms of reference for a meeting or a conference.
Let's go around the table on this. Sandeep Dikshit, another Congress leader, Rashmikant, the Congress party has a great affinity for this kind of coffee table, coffee club meeting. Why? What's going on?
Well, what's wrong with
many people are saying this is a deliberate attempt to cock a snook at the Modi administration that has taken a very firm position. That's what I'm saying.
Well, Rahul, I think you're contradicting yourself, because the very fact is that you are accusing Congress of being very fond of coffee and tea diplomacy or whatever. But the fact is that you quoted Mr. Kasuri very correctly so. But why did the government? Why did the government?
What do you mean when you say contradiction?
Why did the government?
The fact is that there are congressmen.
My point is even deeper. My point is deeper. While I agree with what you say,
the state has taken a position. You on this show have taken a position against Pakistan, taunting the BJP representatives for not engaging Pakistan, especially after the belligerence, the first time in 30 years. The level of belligerence from Pakistan is far exceeded.
Rahul, the answer to this is...
anything that we've known in 3.5 decades. No, 1 minute.
Yeah.
You yourself have been on this show, let me remind you, taunting BJP representatives, saying, snap the dialogue. You expected the same from us? Now do the same. So the BJP government walks the talk. They take your advice, they snap dialogue. And what do? Some of your leading lights there
Before that,
conversations with individuals who had never a good word to say about this.
Rahul, prior to asking this question, I think you should ask the government why they gave a visa to Mr. Kasuri to come to India.
Because this is a democracy.
No, this is...
You might forget. Let me ask
you,
Mr. Chari.
If there's a democracy, then people have a right to talk.
Well, really?
Yeah.
In what context?
In what context?
In this context.
If the fact is that Mr. Kasuri has talked about India, the government of India denies visa to people.
I don't want to muzzle
so
anyone's freedoms.
anti-Indian
Please
people
don't
should
get me
not
wrong.
be given visas.
Rashmikant, don't bring this down to a debate about rights and, the right to engage and the right to talk.
No, I am saying that should not have been given a visa.
I am looking at the politics of this.
The government is legitimizing.
Professor Nalapat, is this politic of the Congress party to reward constituencies in Pakistan who have stood for nothing?
The visas are given by the government of India, and you are saying this is a policy of the Congress.
On what grounds do you expect the government of India to reject the visa, Mr. Rashmikant? Be reasonable.
But
you don't have to sit there and engage these individuals.
Yes, the ground is that they are anti-Indian people.
They are members.
And they are
members of society. They can travel to this
country.
If they are members of society, engage them. Don't engage them because the liability falls upon you. I just want to bring in the others. Am I being unreasonable?
Why are you giving them a visa to come to India to look at the Taj Mahal?
Am I being unjustifiably unreasonable, Professor Nalapat? I'll open this out. Professor Nalapat.
Well,
Rahul, I'd simply like to say that we have a system in India in which any such conference needs permission from the Ministry of External Affairs and Ministry of Home Affairs. And quite frankly, that's why very few conferences take place in India.
Yes.
There are far more India-Pakistan dialogues taking place in Sri Lanka and in Nepal than in India, because visas are very often denied. So, I mean, quite frankly, I would think that visas should be freely given, as are given in other countries, and there's no reason for us to be very stingy about that. Having said that, I'd like to point out that these dialogues, frankly, are absolutely of zero value.
Zero.
They've been held umpteen times in the past. The same individuals who come to this dialogue have come to possibly 4 or 5 dozen other dialogues in the past, if not more. And the result has always been a big
This
zero.
is a cottage
but
industry.
I'd like to congratulate them on their optimism and their hope. That
Karuna
even
Nandi,
though
this is a
for 4
cottage
dozen
industry.
times it's been zero, they probably hope that this time they'll hit a boundary.
No one is wanting to trammel anyone's optimism, but this has become a cottage industry. Chosen few want to inject themselves into the limelight. They live off these meetings. This is a known fact. We've had in the past individuals who have gone and met with treacherous people on the other side of the border, Ved Pratap, Vedics, etc. God knows what all other individuals. Karuna Nandi, what is the larger objective here? Don't understand. What's the objective?
To address the points that you have made, Rahul, the limelight is actually now. That meeting was a closed-door meeting.
No, you had a press conference.
Outside people were invited.
You had a press conference, you invited the press.
People sitting around. There were 15, no please, there were 15 people.
No, you invited the press, there was a press conference.
I did not have a press conference, I certainly
That's
was not
immaterial.
there. There were 15, I did not invite the press, I certainly
That's
was
immaterial.
not there. There were 15, I did not invite the press.
Well,
There
the
were
organizers
15
did.
people.
There was a press conference that was held, so clearly there was an intent to put out a message.
You said, no, I think...
Ms. Nandi, please.
No. The message, Rahul, I have 2 things to say.
Yes.
One is that the saber rattling in all these studios is not helping anyone. There are games, I mean, and you know, if anyone is trying to compete with times now, I think it is deeply unfortunate. Now, what I am saying though, is that I think that unless we break the game theory diktats of the military in Pakistan.
No, let us say, she's free to speak. We can hit below the belt. I'm not going to be dragged into one of those. I'm not going to be dragged into a sarcastic exchange. No, please. I'm asking you a question on principles. If you don't want to answer on principles, don't resort to.
And I came.
Don't
and I
resort
also
to.
do want to say that I came on this show. If this is the limelight, then I came on this show as a particular.
No, tell me,
favor,
what if these, no, 1 second. So fine, saber rattling in television studios. No, 1 second.
really,
Karuna Nandi,
You don't have any
for all
answers.
your sarcasm.
You don't have any answers.
For all your sarcasm, please, let me inject a dose of reality. Fine, saber rattling in television studios. Well, they haven't led to any wars, I can tell you that much. They may not have resolved situations, fair enough. Maybe you have the answers. But how does, now that you've hit below the belt, how does this cottage industry that has been living off, 1 minute, they've been living off the Indo-Pakistan, the India-Pakistan mess for the last 50 years. And how are these conversations really helping? Give me 3 examples. 3 examples before I open this out.
Correct.
How have the talks helped?
3 things. One thing is that there is a massive trust.
Really?
There is a massive trust deficit. Right?
Yes.
I think this is the major problem
between
the 2 countries. If you look at, even within Pakistan, we must realize that it's not a monolith.
3 reasons.
There are the courts, which are, that a judgment was passed recently. Am I still being heard?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you very clearly. We can hear you very clearly, Ms. Nandi. Can you hear us? We can hear you. Well, I think we've lost Ms. Nandi there, in the middle of her point. Let me just quickly go across, very quickly, to Seema Mustafa. We are talking about, as Karuna Nandi said, a constituency of people in Pakistan. Now, this much wanted peace constituency in Pakistan almost never takes a position against acts of belligerence that originate from across the border. Ms. Mustafa, can you explain why?
I beg to differ. I think there are very many voices that you hear even from Pakistan.
Really?
I'm not an advocate of Pakistan or, for that matter, governments in any part of the world.
Sure.
But the point is that there is civil society in Pakistan. There are a lot of journalists. There are people like Bina Sarwar. If you manage to read anything, you will know that, when the minorities were attacked in Pakistan, there were amazing articles and meetings and demonstrations.
That was about Pakistan.
So I think if we want to blind ourselves to what is happening in any part of the world, and we want to sit in our own little cocoons and say,
that was about
well,
Pakistan.
the world is against us, that's our fault. If
No,
we
one
want to be
second.
the ostrich, I think it is not the voice of the few or the many who are constituting a peace offensive or part of a peace offensive.
No, one second. But this peace constituency has absolutely no leverage in Pakistan. It doesn't seem to be influencing anyone there. You just have to look at the actions. The Prime Minister yesterday of Pakistan came out with a belligerent statement, uncalled for totally. So where's this peace constituency and what is its, impact on the discourse in Pakistan? Has no effect.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that there is any dialogue that is of the deaf. I think it's only the people who do not talk who are, who are without a voice. I think when you talk, people listen to you.
How's it made a
because
difference?
Voice carries. And when the words carry, there are always people whose
But
ears are open and they're able to absorb some of the right or the more, the more correct.
Okay, I want to bring in Mr. Seshadri Chaudhary.
And if it is our case that we want to sit back, and I don't mean by our as India, but if it is the case of governments of India or Pakistan or for that matter any part of the world, to sit back and say we are not going to talk, but we are going to nuke each other in today's world, then I think we've got to think again.
Okay, well, that's strange logic. Yes, I just want to bring in, I'll come to you, Mr. Pandit, in 1 second. I just want to bring in Mr. Chari. Mr. Chari, we are being told that the Indian government, if it wants to sit back, it's a choice that it's made. Don't stop others from sitting back and negotiating and showing the path.
No, Rahul, you should understand certain things here.
Yes.
There is a subtle difference between track-to diplomacy and back-channel talks.
Right.
When we refer to back-channel talks, there the governments are involved, but not directly, but indirectly. When it comes to track-to diplomacy, it is usually the governments are not involved.
That's right.
But these diplomatic talks, or whatever you call them, are done between groups which have a certain agenda. Now, Mr. Kasuri and a lot of people who have come from Pakistan this time, none of them belong to the government of Pakistan.
Yes.
In fact, Mr. Kasuri is in Imran Khan's party.
That's right.
And Imran Khan's party, like Nawaz Sharif, also works on the same agenda of creating friendship with government of India and people of India.
Well,
so
sir,
they are also working on
Imran Khan has been very hawkish, sir.
Programs and so many other
Imran
things.
Khan has been very hawkish in his public declarations.
There is a group.
Imran Khan is with the
There
army
is a group.
and ISI.
Yes, absolutely.
See, the problem is, we are not saying these things will bring results. The government of Pakistan and the government of India are not directly involved in these talks. So you should not confuse between diplomatic talks or confidence building measures or CBMs. So these talks.
No, but who are we building confidence with? Who are we building? Ashok Pandit, who are we building confidence with? Mr. Kasuri, who's part of Imran Khan's troop. Imran Khan, who wants to go to war almost with India. His pronouncements are so belligerent. He's almost pushing Mr. Sharif to cross the LOC.
Rahul,
that's what has been happening.
Rahul, Imran is with ISI and Pakistan Army.
He is backed by the ISI. We all know this. In every discourse, in every newspaper, in every editorial in Pakistan, you read about Imran's proclivities. So I just want to bring in Mr.
This entire
Ashok Pandit.
agitation of Imran Khan has been sort of decided for by the ISI and the Pakistan army.
Let's not get caught in the Imran Khan thing. I think
Between
there is
US
a deeper
and
issue
Iran, right during the period of sanctions.
No, sir, but address the question.
So these are all issues
what do these
that
talks,
we have to understand from
what
a
do
very
these
different
track 2
perspective.
talks achieve?
Nobody
Karunanidhi wants to come in again, but before that, I just want to go to Ashok Pandit. Ashok Pandit, you are listening in as an outsider to this conversation, as a person drawn from civil society here in India. I'm sure that you also want peace with Pakistan. But on what terms? Certainly on terms that are acceptable to both parties, not just one side of the fence. Mr. Pandit?
Rahul, it is sad, that people in this country who behave as unofficial spokespersons of Pakistan, not realizing that what Pakistan is continuously doing to your country. And I didn't know that their memory is so short that they don't remember. About Congress, it's very obvious that because they have a lot of time now to do all these things after their major defeat in the last elections. So there's a bankruptcy of intelligence now from which they suffer. I, as a victim of terrorism unleashed by Pakistan in Kashmir, I feel hurt. I feel sad when I see that our own people from the backyard sit with those Pakistanis and discuss, politics of both the countries.
Okay, let me bring in Mr. Ved Pratap Vedic also.
Pakistan has been attacking you.
Let me bring in Mr. Ved Pratap Vedic on this point.
And you have been keeping quiet about
because he was in controversy. We're having problems with Karunan in these lines. We're going to try and I deeply apologize to her for the inconvenience we've caused. But let me just bring in. Okay, Ashok Pandit, I've got the drift.
You have protected Dawood in your country and you want to have peace talks with them?
Okay, it's a impassioned plea on these individuals to back off. Let situations settle in Pakistan. Let us get some clarity on the equations of power before we hurtle forward to engage an establishment which will see it as a reward, Mr. Vedic. That's the fundamental point that is being made by Mr. Pandit and some others on this panel.
What do you want to ask me?
May I come in here?
The futility of it all. The futility of this.
Please raise your question.
I'd like to add something.
I'm coming to you, ma'am. Yes. The futility of this interaction, these cottage industry fueled meats. That's what I'm asking you.
Well, I feel, I personally feel sometimes you are correct that it's exercise in futility because there is no concrete result out of these discussions. But I personally feel discussions at track 1, at track 2 and also at track 3 are very necessary, because if there are no discussions, if there is no dialogue, then what do? You declare a war.
That's not so. That's not so. That's not so, Mr. Vedic. Let's not be extreme. Let's not be extreme. Not talking doesn't mean that you're going to war.
What is it talking about?
I want to bring. I just want to bring in Seema Mustafa. Seema Mustafa, how does? Let me come to you. Mr. Vedic takes a middle line and then suddenly says that not speaking would mean that you would then declare war. I mean, that's going to another extreme, isn't it? How is talking with Pakistan made any difference, Seema Mustafa? Kindly enlighten us. You're a votary of this sort of interaction.
Yes,
what is our position,
1 minute.
Rahul?
Yes.
What is our position?
1 second.
There is a government position, there is a civil society position, there is a peace position, there is a war position. What do you mean by our position? I mean,
I'm talking about the Indian state.
Have you, as a media person, started speaking for the government?
No, I'm speaking.
What do you mean by our?
I'm only talking about, I'm not speaking for anyone. I'm only illuminating our panelists, as you all very well know, on the position that the Indian state has taken, which is for now, till things clear up in Pakistan, till the political uncertainty settles, till they make some commitments, we don't have talks.
Rahul, can I...
Where's the contradiction, Seema Mustafa? I'm not saying anything that seems to be suggestive of anything other than situating the facts and bringing them onto the table.
What state? I mean, are you going to now tell us that it is only the state that can talk?
What do you mean,
and
what
you're
state?
talking of a country that for 200 years fought the state to attain independence. And today, 60 years, 67 years later, we are being told that only the government represents us? That
I'm
only
not
the
saying
state
that.
Talks?
I'm not saying that, Seema
Mustafa.
Mustafa, please. You need to understand what I'm saying. I'm drawing a distinction. It isn't...
Who represents the country?
One second.
Who represents the country? It's the government who represents the country.
People in India. You know, this approach has been taken... No, I would just like to say that this approach is not something that has ever yielded results, right? I think there is a consensus, pretty much, that people-to-people contact and business ties and technological ties, and just, you know, I think after 60 years of trying this war, a few talks, no war, talk, you know, some attack by Pakistan, again, no talks, again,
no, but do you
war,
feel, Karuna
skirmishes.
Nandi,
I
because
just
this
think
point
that
is
this
repeatedly
something
raised,
that has just
do you
not
feel,
worked.
Karuna Nandi,
And you know, these game, no, but let me
engaging
just
Pakistan
finish.
at a
What
time
I'm
like
saying
this?
is that these game theory diktats
need
to be broken.
No, please.
So therefore,
we've gone
like,
through this.
I want to bring out a question for a point regarding the soldiers' perspective. Let me tell you what is the soldiers' thing.
Human Development Index and number 9 and 26.
You are saying this because you are not affected.
It's ridiculous. Right?
Well, the charge is that you're not affected, so you can make these blind observations. That's what Ashok Pandit is saying, and that's what I'm saying.
Just a second, I want to say
yes,
what
please.
the soldiers think.
Okay, the brigadier wants to come in.
The border, they don't
wants to come in.
the border, they don't know
wants to
whether
come in.
about your track one, track
One
two.
second, gentlemen, ladies, please, let's not, come on, let's not speak over each other.
That we are both equally affected.
Ashok Pandit, 1 second.
I think we are equally
A soldier
affected.
wants to
Let's not
speak
say
and a
that
strategic analyst wants to add. 1 minute, 1 minute.
If you, sir...
No, 1 second. Please, let's not speak over each other. A soldier wants to come in.
Let me sort of tell you what the soldier thinks.
Okay, tell us, sir.
A man who sits in the border, he doesn't understand what is track 1, track 2, etc., etc. He comes to know either from the radio or from this thing that there is talks going on. He sees the infiltration taking place right in front of him. He sees the firing takes place right in front of him. His soldiers are being hit. They are being carried to the hospital, military hospital. There is blood all around. Now, in that circumstances, the soldier doesn't understand your diplomacy and your talk.
He sees it as a betrayal.
Absolutely.
Karuna Nandi, he sees it as a betrayal.
Absolutely.
It's a blow to his morale.
But if you put, you know, if we portray it as a betrayal, then that is the thing. I just want to be very, very clear here. This is the, you know, the young lives that are sacrificed, that unnecessarily over the years, for in the name of, like, you know, defense expenditure, that is what we want to
No, but
end.
Karuna Nandi, how does speaking to individuals who have, by your own admission, no leverage over the Pakistani state? No, please, answer me this question. How does speaking to individuals that have no leverage over the Pakistani state change the circumstance on the ground?
Madam,
how does it make things better?
Madam, tell me one thing. Did you have an aim? Did you have a purpose? Did you prepare for it? Were these people who were required to carry on this discussion had any agenda? Were they briefed by some people who were in the government?
Rahul,
nothing seems to happen. People just got together.
That's why people say this is becoming a convenient cottage industry.
Yeah, I just want to make a quick point.
Let me give you 3 points.
3 points, okay.
Let me give you 3 points.
3 points.
First point is this.
Yes.
The Supreme Court in Pakistan. Okay, thank you. The Supreme Court in Pakistan has passed a judgment, the Manan judgment I think it's called, saying that the ISI is responsible for destabilizing the peace process. What has also changed is that there was a possibility of a coup which has not happened in Pakistan. The third thing is that, you know, the more we have durable people-to-people contacts, the more it becomes clear that it is not in our democratic interest.
Rahul,
and the more that these
very quickly, we need to wrap this up.
Strengthen each other, because the worst thing that we can do is don't take hard lines. And it's to prevent those hard positions from being taken on either side. And I think this is absolutely right.
That thesis has not been borne
Because
out.
this has been too long,
Very quickly.
too many lies, too many lies.
One second.
No, but your thesis has not been borne out at all.
The same passion that
your
you
thesis is
But the
business as
point is that
usual.
we've heard a
Your
lot of
thesis is
the
business
fact
as
is
usual.
that
People die,
in Pakistan,
people die, and
the
it's not good enough.
Rahul,
Well, you know.
vis-a-vis India, Pakistan.
No, I'm asking you a simple question, Rashmika. Please, is it prudent to engage Pakistani individuals when the Indian state has decided to take a different view? Doesn't it send out mixed messages? That's all I'm asking. Simple question. Since a lot of your colleagues have attended this.
My point is that it is going to serve no purpose. People may share certain convictions. And Rahul, let me complete. There is only one track with Pakistan. There is no other power center. When you say let Pakistan stabilize, I'm afraid the ISI is a stable organization, and it is the Pakistani military which is a stable organization. It is only they who can bring peace between India and Pakistan. The democratic forces have absolutely no leverage.
In a recent book, Fighting to the End,
yeah, so the
Christine Fair of Georgetown University argues that the strategic culture of the Pakistani army. No, one second. Let's. You know, I've read this book also, and I'm taking the liberty of quoting this particular author. She says that the strategic culture of the Pakistani army is essentially unremitting hostility. One second, Mr.
Don't blame us for that.
One second, sir. One second, Mr. Pandit. One second. She says that the strategic culture of the Pakistani army is essentially unremitting hostility against India. The Pakistani army believes that it is locked into a permanent existential civilizational battle against India. You're talking around a seminar conference table is not going to change the mindset of the Pakistani army.
Absolutely.
And therefore, Seema Mustafa, I want to ask you, is it prudent to engage Pakistani individuals when they have no leverage over the real powers in Pakistan?
Only one real power towards
I'm not
India.
asking you this question, please. When the Indian state has decided to take a different view, doesn't this send out a mixed message? Ms. Mustafa, two questions to you.
What is the principle? The principle is that only governments can talk? No, excuse me. I thought that when I last checked that India was still a democracy, right? And now you're going to tell us that only governments can talk, that people cannot talk? That artists cannot talk, that lawyers cannot talk, that professors cannot talk, that journalists cannot talk. I mean, what is this? What is this
We've questioned the logic.
And how can you be so brainwashed as to buy this argument?
That is precisely what you are saying.
And
we're not saying that. Please understand. We're talking about the message. Please. We're arguing. Please. We're not arguing. We're not arguing against a people-to-people interaction. We're arguing about the message that is sent out at a time when the situation is particularly tense.
That's good. It's fine.
Okay, it's fine. So there is no question of undermining the state's position when individuals meet, even though the individuals may be militantly opposed to India. When they go back home, they're affiliated to political parties who want nothing but further confrontation between India and Pakistan. Professor Nalapat, does this make sense to you? And I'll wrap it up on your answer, because we need to move forward.
Well, Rahul, I would be very happy if in these conversations some of our Indian interlocutors point out about the horrible situation facing minorities in Pakistan. I mean, Christians are being tortured, Hindus are being tortured, if I may say so, and the minorities in Pakistan are being squeezed. The Shia are being squeezed. Moderate Sunnis are being squeezed. Now, my objection to these meetings is there's so much of goody-goody talk going on, and this goody-goody talk is about the border, it's about India-Pakistan issues. The reason why Pakistan is so negative to India is because Pakistan itself has become such an intolerant state. So I do hope our Indian interlocutors are going to point this out next time to their Pakistan friends and point out the abysmal treatment meted out to minorities in Pakistan.
Okay, 2 points, Brigadier. 2 points from this. Do you believe that such exchanges only serve a narrow constituency? A narrow constituency.
See, the point the point is we have been having such dialogues for the past 67 years.
Okay.
Nothing has come out of it. Therefore, this is primarily the agenda of a few.
It keeps the cottage industry going.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It is a few people who are doing these talks for their own personal benefit.
This dialogue started
it hasn't got a national interest in mind.
Only
the government's policy is not being reflected.
It's a business.
Firstly. Secondly,
it's a business.
Okay, 1 minute more.
If you look, the game theory
it's
here
a money
is
making
complicated.
business.
Okay, it's complicated. So we'll add another spoke. We'll add another spoke and make it even more obtuse, complicated, tangential,
including the
Pakistan. We're leaving it to that.
The Pakistani Parliament has summoned the Pakistani army to ask them to declare their defense expenditure
please, that's being very naive. The Pakistani Parliament didn't know a month ago if it was going to still be around. Please, there are deals being cut. Let's not be so.
The Pakistani army depends on what is going to happen in
let's not be, please, please, let's not be so Manichaean in our worldview. There are very complex equations being worked out in Pakistan. We know the back scratching that takes place there. So let's not try to even suggest that the parliament is supreme in Pakistan as of now. That would not be an accurate assessment. I don't know about the past. We need to wrap up the debate.
With us and want to kill
we need to wrap up the debate. There are other panelists waiting.
That on either side, that leads to killing on either side.
Fair enough.
That is the perception.
We leave it at this. We're running out of